All right, great. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We're really excited to be having our final session of the Goodpush Summit. So yeah, as you know, this session is on the future of social skateboarding. And yeah, I think we're gonna have 6 really unique perspectives. I mean, there's so many people we could speak to about this topic, and it was hard to choose just a few, but I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation. And for those of you who attended the other sessions this week, I think that like all of the sessions that we've been doing have also kind of been reflective of this topic, that there's like really an exciting future that's coming for skateboarding and social skateboarding with, you know, more women, with adaptive skaters, queer and trans skaters, and more skaters of color represented in the skate community worldwide, which is super cool. So the panelists that we have today are actually based all over the world. I'll do a quick introduction, and maybe then they can just say hi so you know who's who. And then we'll go into some short kind of interviews with each person, and hopefully we'll have a bit of time at the end for a Q&A from yourselves, but we'll have to see how that goes. So firstly, we have today Marie Mayassi. So she's a French skater who's living in London, UK, and is the founder and director of the nonprofit Skate Gals and Pals, and also the project Melanin Skate Gals and Pals. You want to say hello?
Hi. Thank you for having me today.
Great to have you. And then we have, next up, we have Lisa Jacob, who's a French skateboarder and a skate park builder with Wonders Around the World, Concrete Jungle Foundation, Make Life Skate Life, and Antidote Skate Parks. Lisa also sits on the board of multiple skate nonprofits and founded her own NGO and magazine called Forever Playground.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to see you, Lisa. Then we have Johnny Kalenga, who is a 21-year-old skater from Zambia and the founder of the nonprofit organization WeSkate Mongu, which runs skate programs for hundreds of kids each week. And he's on the move. There he is. You want to say hello?
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you all here.
Cool. Nice to have you. Then we have 2 people from Brazil. So they're going to be speaking about a project together. So firstly, we have Sandro Testinha, who's a former pro skateboarder who founded his own nonprofit called ONG Social Skate in 2011 in Poa, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Welcome, Sandro.
Hi, thanks.
Cool. And then we have Lauro Netto, who is the marketing and communication manager at the Brazilian Skateboarding Confederation, which is the Olympic national governing body for skateboarding in Brazil.
That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us and for this opportunity to share something of our local scene. Thank you.
Cool. And then lastly, we have Charles-Antoine Bodsen, who is the CEO and founder of the Skateroom, which, for those of you who don't know, is a certified B Corp that uses art for social impact and has donated over $1 million to 37 different social skate projects since 2014. So welcome, Charles.
Hello, everyone. More than happy to share this discussion with you, and let's go into it.
Cool. So nice. So I thought we could start today talking with Marie. So I first came across Marie. We have a program that we run at Goodpush called Role Models, which is a leadership program to promote women's leadership in skateboarding. And Marie is part of it this year with her Melanin Skate Gals and Pals project. So Marie, I'm curious because you founded two different skateboarding initiatives in the past few years. So the first is Skate Gals and Pals, and then more recently you started up Melanin Skate Gals and Pals. And I was wondering if you could explain to us why you felt it was important to create a separate project that focused not only on women skaters, but also on bringing BIPOC skaters together.
Yes. Thank you very much for these questions. So yeah, I created Melanin Skate Guards and Pals in March 2021. But it is true, I created another collective called WeSkate Guards and Pals in 2017. So we ran the collective for maybe like 3 years, and then we kind of stopped with COVID, and also we didn't have as much, I guess, engagement in Leeds. And yeah, and I think when I moved to London, I was looking for a space that was like Leeds Skate Guards and Pals, and I saw that there were a lot of collectives that were catering for marginalized genders, but I couldn't really find a collective that was catering for the BIPOC community. And yeah, and also after last year and the death of George Floyd and the emergence of the Black Lives Matter movement, I just found that it was very important for me personally to have a space where I could be with other just skaters of color, to be able to share our experience of marginalization without feeling like we could be dismissed or fear, like, yeah, facing any kind of dismissal. So yeah, that's when I created Melanin Skate Guards and Pals, and it's been going really great. And I think from my personal need, I was able to help a lot of people find a community, and yeah, and it's just been really great because I just think it's just nice to have a space like this for people of color, and especially because within the skateboarding community, even if, for example, the marginalized gender part of the skateboarding community is meant to be for everyone, at the end of the day, it is always the same kind of demographic that is being pushed up. It's always the same kind of demographic that is going to have visibility and opportunities, and that if it's not white cisgender men, is going to be white cisgender women that are going to be like straight or whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to be able, after spending so long to try and reach out to different organizations and ask them to make sure that they try and just portray and give opportunity and visibility to more BIPOC skaters. I just decided that I should just do it on my own, because after 2 years, I didn't see any kind of progress or anything. And yeah, and I just thought if no one wanted to do it, I would be able to do it. So with Melanin Skate Guards and Pals, we do meetups. Of course, with the help of the role model program, we are going to start a mobile skate park for young refugee girls, but also British girls, to help with integration. And we also are going to make some, we also are going to make some merch. So we're able to sell it, and hopefully in the future start to sponsor skaters of color without always having to rely on bigger skate brands or just a wider skate community that is not really paying attention to marginalization.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, I think I don't know if you were at the panel yesterday. We had Pushing Against Racism. Naftali was talking about this, how, like, you know, at a certain point, if we aren't seeing what we want to see, we have to do it ourselves. Or we don't have to, but we can, and that's what skaters often do. So yeah, that's really, yeah, nice to hear your story. And yes, I think something else is interesting. So I saw you did a recent interview with Free Movement. And you have volunteered with them in the past in Greece, and you've also volunteered with SkatePal in Palestine. And yeah, in the interview that you did, you're talking a little bit about like how these types of volunteering opportunities often don't have many skaters of color taking part. And I was really curious, because there's a lot of people here who are involved in running organizations, like what can social skate organizations actually do to increase like BIPOC representation, not only among volunteers, but among staff across the board?
Yes, so I think first, the concept of volunteering has been very whitewashed for so many years, because it's really, really basing itself off the concept of white saviorism, of like going to the global south and helping the people and coming back. And I believe, and there are many studies about it, that is benefiting way more the volunteers and is benefiting local communities. So I always wanted to volunteer, and I was very, very fortunate to find skatepal and free movement skateboarding that are very away, I guess, from this idea of we are the best and we are going to come to your country and we are going to save you. I just felt like the dynamic was way more human, and that I wasn't feeling that I was above anyone when I was volunteering. And lately I've been wanting to do more of this, but I really want to reframe the concept of volunteering. And instead of thinking volunteering or volunteerism, which is volunteering and tourism at the same time, that's when people are going on holidays, but they're volunteering at the same time. Little parenthesis, it's really bad because people, organizations, and countries are actually setting up more humanitarian aid projects to be able to just get more funds from the tourists that are coming and wanting to volunteer. This does not mean that the humanitarian projects are actually benefiting local communities. It just means that it's more money for a certain organization. So reframing the concept of volunteering into a kind of like mutual aid and skills exchange, I think is very important. We're planning on going to visit South Ghana in December. Hopefully we can do this. And the idea would be to go there with people who have a set of skills that they would want to teach people from South Ghana community, but also for South Ghana community members to teach us some skills, so we can both come back and say, oh, we've learned this from these guys, and they can also say that they learn from us. And yeah, it's way more, let's say, flowing and sustainable, because we're not expecting people from Western countries to just save other people, but it's more on just like a human side of trying to go and visit this project, because we can't get rid of volunteering as a whole. I think it's a good idea, but just the Western view on volunteering is just, yeah, is just like not progressive at all. And it would also be a good way to connect people with the diasporas as well, because I think there are a lot of African people from diaspora or Asian people from the diaspora that would love to be more connected with people in their homeland. So I think that would be that could be like a great way to do volunteering, and also make sure that organizations keep hiring people from local communities so they can facilitate the volunteering, instead of always trying to just try and import people from Western countries who are seen as having more knowledge, when it's actually like not true. And they might have a lot of knowledge, but that is not according to local customs. And finally, we really want in the future to be able to create a fund to enable people to actually go and volunteer in this country, because beyond the factor that it's a very whitewash industry, there is also the fact that a lot of people are going to be coming from low income background, and most people from high income background are going to be white people because of obvious reason, and white supremacy and colonialism and all that. So yeah, I think it's just very important for organizations to think, okay, why don't we create a fund to enable more people from different backgrounds to come and volunteer or visit these projects?
Great. So many good ideas. I think that you touched on like, yeah, a ton of things. And I think that this idea of like a skills exchange or like knowledge exchange is just great. And I think like as skateboarders, all of us, you know, we love traveling and we love having those connections. And so it's just like thinking about, yeah, how can we shape this in the best way? So there's like, yeah, good dynamics, and it's something that's also more open to other people. So awesome. Thank you. And then I think the last question for right now that I have for you, yeah, so based on your experience, especially I guess more lately with Melanin Skate Gals and Pals, but yeah, you've been working in this area for a long time. I mean, I guess you can see there's like a lot of like collectives and movements and stuff around the world that are really focusing on making skateboarding more inclusive. So it can be on the basis of like gender or sexuality or ethnicity or ability, but often it seems like these focus areas are tackled like, not always, but often kind of separately from each other. And I know you have a really big interest in like intersectional approaches, which are like combining, to make it more inclusive, like across the board. So I'm wondering if you have any good approaches or examples of other organizations or things that have worked for you that you could share with others, yeah, to achieve this.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, when I created Melanin Skate Guards and Pals, I wanted to be not only for Black people or the Black community, because what I saw in the past year was that, like, you could see the Black Lives Matter movement, and you could see the anti-Asian hate movement, and just a lot of other movements for different ethnicities and minorities. And I thought that creating a group for BIPOC people would just be more beneficial, and would just put together like most people of color, and we could talk about our own marginalization. It's something that I found really hard when I was just running a group for marginalized genders, just because the nature of marginalization is very different. And I just saw that sometimes the fact to have, for example, white cisgender woman is going to be kind of detrimental for Black skaters, because they're not going to be seeing, they're not going to see that their marginalization is going to be taken into account. And it is very hard when you are marginalized, but someone is more marginalized than you or whatever. And like Indigo Willing said, it's not the championship of marginalization, but but I think there are some factors that are making people's life a little bit harder, and they want to be seen and they want to be acknowledged as well. So that's why I think it's very important to have subgroups, just so no one's marginalization is undermined and dismissed. And I also believe that, yeah, groups that are created as bigger group are tending to like not uplift the most marginalized within the groups. And when it's going to be matter of opportunity or a brand coming to talk to you, they're always going to go towards the person that is the most palatable in terms of advertisement and in terms of just like their audience that they want to reach out to. That's another reason why I think subgroups are very important. But I also think that a way to maybe tackle, like be more intersectional, would be to have joint events. So for example, with the Goodpush Summit right now, you can see that there's just loads of people who are doing different skate projects for minorities, and we're able to all come together and share ideas. And I think that locally it would be really good if different type of collective could collaborate on, I don't know, maybe like biannually events where everyone is coming and everyone is able to have a stand, and everyone is able to raise awareness about their cause, and maybe everyone is able to fundraise for a cause that they all care about. So that's the only way I see it working. But that would be whilst having like subgroup to be able to just uplift everyone.
That's a really great idea. Joint events, bring people together. Thanks so much, Marie. Cool. So I'm gonna move on and talk to Lisa, which one of the questions I have actually relates back to what we just talked about, Marie, but we'll get to that. So so one of the key activities of social skateboarding projects in the past 10 years has actually been building skate parks in communities where they don't exist yet. And Lisa, you have some of the most wide-ranging experience in this. You told me you've been to build skate parks in 23 countries so far, which is crazy. So I'm really curious to hear from you because you've been involved, you know, so many places, so many organizations. What do you think works really well with the current model of like having volunteer builders traveling to build skate parks? And then what do you think are some of the big lessons learned so far, and what could be changed for the future?
Okay, thanks for the question. Hello, everybody. First of all, I feel like the skate charity sector is still young. Like it's been only a few years actually that a few organizations have been stepping out to carry like the mission of building free access skate parks for the youth. So those past years it's been quite a learning process, I would say, for most of us, like trying to find actually a model, a structure that is like both sustainable, but that is also offering not only a place to enjoy skateboarding, but also a place for self-growth and community development. So what we learn on the way is that building a skate park somewhere where there is like no industry or settled scene, poor financial means, and then like live without ensuring that park will stay active is like clearly not the way to go, I feel like. So like that's why we try to direct our efforts towards like good partnership with local organization on the ground, or even more, like building ourselves local organizational capacity when it's possible. Like for the simple fact that there's not only a need for infrastructure space, but like for community development through activities that will keep like the youth engaged in a positive way. And I feel like building skate park is like only the first step of our work, actually. Like the building phase is really important, even though like most of the social work actually happened there afterwards. So, but I do think the more the locals are engaged, like in whatever happens before, like designing, building, planning, like it will be more likely giving them like a sense of ownership and belonging that is going to show afterwards, like in the way that they will like take care of the place and its community. Like basically, the more you work on something, the more you care about it. So yeah, I think what we learn is like that is super important to like do a good outreach in sourcing the local needs, like what are their wishes, how they want things to be handled, understand their country also, their culture, their backgrounds, like basically connect to them prior to the build, because like all this can avoid like a lot of misunderstanding and make sure like everybody is sharing the same view on the project. Also, another thing is that most of that projects need probably like a better structure. Like it's quite a lot happening in 4 weeks. Like usually that's like what it takes us. Like we go build the skate parks in like a remote country and we have like 4 weeks to get it done. And it means like finding machinery, like sourcing material, organizing the site, the local workers, the local youth involved, like dealing with transportation, housing, food, volunteers. Like it's not really like healthy, I would say, for like one person to be in charge, like trying to handle everything in stress. So like I think it needs like a better management structure, like with different people holding different positions. Like both, to me, that is what is gonna like make a difference, like in between like getting a skate park done in time and having like a good like social project experience that give the most to the locals, like even during the building process.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks. There's a lot of yeah, a lot of good points in there, and I think like clearly like one big benefit of this approach is that it makes skate parks possible where otherwise it just wouldn't be because of the high cost of doing it, you know, without having the volunteer crews coming in. And yeah, one program, so you talked about like getting people involved that are from the areas and the communities, and I think I've followed Concrete Jungle Foundation, which you're on the board of, I believe, has a program called Planting Seeds, which is like an apprenticeship program that they've run in Jamaica and now also in Peru, where you just got back from. So I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about this program and kind of how it came about and yeah, how it's going so far.
Yes, so the Planting Seeds program by Concrete Jungle Foundation is it's a professional development program like that provides paid apprenticeship like for local adolescents starting like age 16. And like we started it like because we don't want the locals to rely on us all the time. Like the goal actually is to give them autonomy. And like for that, like giving away the skills, the tools, like is really important. So like, of course it can happen in a like natural way with anybody motivated, helping out like every day. But I feel like it's gonna take way more time to learn anything like that than if you're actually supported in your learning process. like people learn way faster if passing the craft is at the center of the attention in the build, instead of just like building the skate park. So also another goal than just making them being able to build skate park is also like providing useful knowledge and art skills in crafts like wood, concrete, and steel. Like all these things like can be super useful in other fields for young people to like be employable later on. So and also it gives confidence just to be able to do like things by yourself. Like it's the DIY culture, like inherent to skateboarding. It's like we want them to be able to like take on and carry out their own projects. So like we started this program in Jamaica with like 6 locals that they got paid like to work 6 days a week on the park with us. So the good thing is that their motivation was not carrying away by like having to work at the same time. So for us, that's why it's like quite important to be able to pay them, and like they could focus on learning and building. So at the time, like we assigned like 1 apprentice to 1 builders, and I was like, for example, working with Skylar Wheeler from Kingston. But after Jamaica, like we talk a lot actually about like how it went there, how we could improve the program. Like we had the feeling that it was like quite a bit stressful to take the time to explain everything while having to build a 1,300 square meter park at the same time in 5 weeks. Like it was a huge park to like start this program. So like the project, for example, they were way smaller. Like we had 2 small parks, like under 200 square meter. So we kind of took the same amount of time to like build something that is like 8 times smaller, just so we could like really take the time to sit with everybody, to explain theoretical knowledges, and then make everybody get a chance to try, basically. So like in the process, like prior to the build, we spent like a few months writing a skatepark construction manual that contains like an overview of the building process, sorry, like with all the steps, but also details on the different steps, and also specific workshops that we would carry out during the build. So the first weeks, like we were actually really slow on building process, because like every morning, like we would take the time to sit together and explain the steps we would go through and why, and then we would make them like do it instead of basically doing it ourselves. So like, yeah, but yeah, it's a different process, I would say, and it's like it requires time, because like, yeah, it's like basically like sitting in a classroom. Like we had a little room with a board, and like we were like drawing stuff and writing and asking questions, and like, yeah, like basically being kind of teacher. And later on the build, like we left like we left 1 obstacle out, like for them to build from scratch, like without us saying like what needed to be done, like kind of as a test to see if they understood what we've been teaching, but also like to make sure like they could apply it to something else. Like they got the model, it's like principle. It's like skate park building. It's a logic. It's the same logic for different kind of obstacle. Like it's gonna be different kind of work, but it's gonna be the same logic that you are gonna apply all the way. So yeah, I was really stoked, because like for me, it took like maybe 5, 6, 7 build, I don't know, like before I could like be kind of independent on building something. So like seeing them doing it after like 2 weeks, so like was kind of the best reward. Like, and also like seeing them working together like as a team was really fulfilling, because it's also what it's about, like teaching how to work together. Like it's not like a skate park. It's not something like it's not a one-man's job. Like you need a lot of people, and you need like to sometimes divide tasks, sometimes like work together. And it's like I think it's a good lesson of like how getting together as a community and accomplish something.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. That sounds awesome, and it's really nice to hear how it's developed over time and how you keep learning what works. And yeah, I think there's I haven't checked the chat, but there's questions happening down there. We can look at it later, but I think people are quite interested in this approach. So yeah, my final question right now for you is, yeah, kind of touching a little bit on what I said about how this model, I think, has been just really amazing because of it giving access to skate parks for a lot of people that, yeah, I don't know, for example, in North America, you usually have to fundraise, I don't know even how much, $500,000 bucks, I don't even know, to build a skate park, more probably. And it's a big process, and the volunteer-based social skate model has made so much possible. But I'm wondering about, now that skateboarding is in the Olympics and it's becoming more popular worldwide, do you think that skate nonprofits will continue to have such a big role in getting skate parks built in new places? Or do you think there will start to be a shift towards like actual like governments and like Olympic, officials and stuff, trying to get like professional skate park companies to come in and do construction? I don't know if you're even already seeing some changes in this area or.
It's a good question, but to be honest, I don't think so. Just for the simple fact that it will be always like unsatisfying needs that needs to be filled. Just like seeing like the wider like humanitarian NGO sector. So like if the government was able like to satisfy everybody, that there would be no NGO, no like people taking care of the all sort of stuff. So for that, I would say no. And like also in regards of like, for example, like when I was in Peru like the past months, and like there's already like a lot of stuff getting going in Lima, for example. Like they have parks, they have an industry, they have stuff there. It's happening. But like where we were, like northern Peru, like it's like there's nothing, and like the locals who we were building with, they were super happy. Like they told us all the time, like the it's always Lima, like nobody care about us, like, and like they were super happy that like the NGO was there to hear the needs. And I think it's gonna be the same, like the Olympics. It's gonna be Paris, London, Madrid, or whatever. Like same in the developing countries, like the big capitals, like we'll have stuff that are gonna be taken care of for sure. But I think there will still be like people in more remote places or marginalized people or with less means, less voice to be heard, that will need it. Like I don't think social work is gonna end so soon.
Cool. Thanks. That's really good points there. Nice. So I'm gonna move over to talk to Johnny. Yeah, Johnny Kalinga, I actually first met you in 2019. Well, first met Johnny when you came to Skateistan, South Africa for the first Goodpush Summit, which was in person. And at that time you were, I think like 18 or 19, and you were running skate lessons with just a few boards on the streets. So how did you manage to get a world-class skate park built in Mongu, which is your hometown, in just 2 years?
I think I really utilize social media, and I think if we talk about the future of social skateboarding, I think we shouldn't leave out social media out of the topic. I think this is one of our biggest advantages, and we just find some proper lighting somewhere. Okay, yeah. So I just utilize social media properly, like updated ourselves every time, and just got out there, showed people what we're doing, gave them a reason to look at us and give them a reason why they should help us and everything like that. So it has been kind of a bumpy ride, but ever since the Goodpush Summit, I think everything has been really easy. Because before I went to the Goodpush Summit, I was going in without really knowing what I was doing. I didn't even know what I was doing was a thing. Like I didn't even know social skateboarding projects were a thing. So when I reached to the Goodpush Summit and like I was seeing all these things and like meeting other people who were doing something similar to me, like it was really an amazing thing to see because I didn't really expect that there were so many things, like there were so many other projects out there because Mongo is a very small town and it's you don't see what's out there on the bigger scale. You think maybe you're just teaching random kids how to skate, but yeah. But when I go to Skateistan and we had this summit, and we're being taught how to run these things properly, how to grow them, and everything like that. Like it was just an amazing experience for me. Really, it changed a lot of how I was seeing these things and how I was approaching them. So all the lessons we learned, I came back home, I utilized them to the fullest, and from there everything just started falling into place. Everything just looked all right for us. Like got more out there on the social media. Put our management in place, and like kept on we did a good push to it, and I must admit it really did help us a lot. That's one of the main things that we benefited from.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that you do really well at WeSkate Mongu is your social media. So yeah, if anyone doesn't follow you yet, it's WeSkate Mongu. You have like great, I think really great storytelling and kind of profiles on some of the youth that you work with. And yeah, I mean, you're just a really strong storyteller. And I know you also have like a bit of like a sort of TED Talky background, so that's not surprising. But I'm wondering, Johnny, so like, yeah, things have happened really fast for you. You put in a lot of work to make it happen. And what do you hope to see in the skate scene in Zambia and maybe, I don't know, more broadly in the region overall in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what do you hope will happen with skateboarding?
So like right now, I don't really know how many social skateboarding projects are there in Africa, but I know quite a few. I know quite a few from different countries. But right now in Zambia, we just have two serious ones running. That's Solwezi Skateboarding and WeSkate Mongu. Skateboarding Association of Zambia is really doing something too. Like they're trying to push. But when we talk about like actual skateboarding projects, I can say we have two, and I think for like Africa and Zambia in general, I kind of think that this is the way for skateboarding to go. Social skateboarding project is the future for skateboarding. Not only is it going to like give an opportunity for those who love skateboarding, but it's also going to nurture them and tutor them into following a certain way. Life, they're going to become better people in the community, because the lessons they're going to learn from this are just not lessons they're going to carry uh, from at the park or anything like that. These are things they're going to learn for the rest of their life. So I think in the next 10 years, I hope to see more of these projects spread across Africa, almost everywhere, at least in the country. There should be at least 20 social skateboarding projects. Even if they're not big, at least everyone should, try and do something about this. And we need more parks out here. And I've noticed now, like if you look at almost all the parks in Africa, probably apart from South Africa, like these parks have been built because of the social skateboarding projects that are there in that country. If we talk about Ghana's Definition Park, Mozambique got their park because of the social skateboarding project. We got our park because of our social skateboarding project. And I think like this is one of the easiest ways to get a park, because you're giving park builders something they can feel good about themselves. Something they can work with. They're not just going to do the park for you guys because you're not skating. Like, yeah, you love skating, but what about skating you love? How far do you see it going? We shouldn't just think about it as just skateboarding, but this is a life changer for most of us. Like a lot of things have really changed in our lives. So if we can have more people doing this, because already if we talk about Africa, no government is really interested in building a skate park for the youth. But if we have a lot of park builders out there around the world, Concrete Jungle Foundation, Skate World Better, Newland Skate Park, and so many park builders out there, and their main focus is like building skate parks for social skateboarding projects. And I think this is the way to go for Africa, and just building more of these parks, because then it's guaranteed for like the park builders themselves. They know something better than just skateboarding is going to come off this, and if we give these kids like better opportunities and better facilities to continue doing what they love, then we'll be having people, more Africans competing in the Olympics, and everything will be really leveled. We'll be having more kids participating on a bigger scale, and one kid does it, and then more kids believe they can do it, and from there things just keep on growing more and more.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, it's true what you pointed out. Like a lot of Mozambique and Zambia, South Africa, like so many of these parks have been built through social skate projects, and yeah, like I think that's kind of echoing what Lisa said, that it's really great to have this collaboration where it's like infrastructure is such a basic thing that is needed that can really like help the skate scene, but it also is like really key to have some kind of like who's going to maintain it, who's going to manage it, look after it and stuff. So having these partnerships, and like you said, Johnny, maybe more social skate projects in different places would be really, really, really cool to see. So yeah, my last question for you, yeah, I think what you've done is super inspiring, and I know you have volunteers and you have people helping you out, but I think you've accomplished quite a lot as not one person, but one person with a small team. And I'm wondering what advice you have to give to other skaters who want to build up their local skate community and don't know where to start.
I think they should start by finding something within themselves that they really want to do this. A lot of skaters out there are passionate about skating, and I can't really say it comes with if you're passionate about helping other skaters grow too. Because for me, it was like I was skating alone in my hometown, and it was really getting boring. So I wanted to teach more people to skate, and one thing led to another. So I think persistence and just like keep on pushing to this. I think that works really well. Like just see the bigger picture of things. Even if things don't work out really fast, just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. The aim is to help out as many skaters as you can, as many kids as you can, to just like show them the brighter light, the other side of things, the creative side, if they learn like to appreciate something themselves, if they find something within themselves that they can find, and like, okay, let us do this, let's try and grow this. Like if the kids find that, then pretty much everything will be easy, because you won't even have to do a lot of things. You just light the candle and everything will follow from there.
Thanks so much, Johnny. Yeah, as people are saying in the chats, because yeah, you're so inspiring. So thanks for the inspiration. And yeah, great to hear from you. And yeah, so so Sandro dropped out, but I think he's back. So we'll move maybe to Sandro and Lauro. So yeah, basically Lauro and Sandro, they've been collaborating together to support the Brazilian social skate community lately. So I kind of wanted to speak to them together. So I have a few questions, and yeah, they'll answer them as a team. And yeah, Lauro will be translating Portuguese English. So my first question to you both is, how and when did the Brazilian Skateboarding Confederation and ONG Social Skate get together and decide that you wanted to support the Brazilian social skate scene?
All right, so if Sandro allows, I can answer this one. Actually, we're friends from the 90s. We grew up like sharing the same lifestyle on skateboarding, and the same drive on create opportunities through skateboard. So he on his daily challenge, trying to directly provide to kids like daily since his first project 20 years ago on Fundação Casa, and me on skateboard market events, and nowadays with the Federation. So last year, we came together with this idea to use the range of the NGO social skate Sandro's NGO and the Brazilian Skateboard Federation for knowing and being connected to the national social project that uses skateboard as a social inclusion tool. So we started on July of 2020. And then our first objective was at least to create a network where we can share experience, knowledge, and who knows, resources. So we're on this basically for 1 year now. So yeah, since last year. That's it.
Yeah, I was really when I first heard from you, I think we'd put something up on Instagram and then you reached out, and I was just really excited because yeah, the Goodpush Alliance, we kind of have this global goal of bringing the social skate community together, and then it was really cool to see how you were doing it at the national level. And yeah, and I think you're doing some really, really interesting stuff. So maybe you can tell, one of you can tell us a little bit about like the mapping that you did, I think at the first point, and then also like since then, how exactly are you supporting the social skate initiatives that are in Brazil?
Okay, so I don't know if Sandro wanna tell something about it, and I can try to translate him. Is he on? Yeah, Sandro, se você quiser responder sobre o mapeamento e como a gente está dando suporte, eu posso tentar traduzir.
Ok, Lauro. Aí eu vou em português e Lauro translation.
Ok.
Basicamente o que eu queria passar para eles era que por já estar fazendo trabalho social, outros projetos nos procuravam, né, nas mensagens e perguntavam o caminho e como fizemos e como chegamos, né, e quando a CBSK nos convida para estar ali juntos, né, nessa empreitada, o que me perguntaram era o que seria principal, e no momento foi bate-pronto de falar, precisamos saber quem são, onde estão, como estão e o que podemos fazer pelos projetos. Acho que o que resume o mapeamento para mim é isso.
Okay, so Sandro is basically saying that he's on this for the past 20 years, and there's a lot of projects coming to him asking about how to do it, who to looking for, and what to do. So last year we were on a conversation, Sandro's NGO and the Brazilian Federation. So we came with this idea, and yeah, that's the point. We need to share what we know to help them out with this, the way that we did with the Sandro's initiative. So we call out for these Brazilian initiatives through the social networks, and then we send them a survey asking what they do, where, when, how many kids involved, etc. So now our first deadline last year, there was around 40 projects that we mapped out. And we start with a couple of hearing online meetings, because there's different types of projects down here. We have the already established assisted projects, and we have like projects running by, common people like volunteers or charity. So that's it. Based on needs that we faced, we start providing these online meetings where we share some information. On last October, we sent them more than 20,000 masks and gallons of alcohol to support them during the COVID situation. We share also a booklet developed by Sandro and Leila from the NGO with all the information on how to become like a legal and recognized project. And after that, we gave them voice, spreading their message and contact through our social networks. So basically, that's how we started. This was our first goal with them.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's incredible amount of masks and stuff that you distributed. I'm wondering, so from that, I guess the mapping stuff that you did, what were the biggest challenges that you see Brazilian social skate initiatives facing? Like, what are their needs?
To be honest, basically economy. We're talking about money and, resources, especially on social vulnerable areas. We're a huge country, as you guys know. We're a third going to fourth world country. We can call it like that. And, when food, health, and home are bigger needs, this is the challenge that we face. So skateboard is very important, but it's even more important to have, the basic needs attended. And for sure, in my personal opinion, there's always people that use it under a wrong perspective, objectives. So this is the challenges that we see over here. And I don't know if Sandro wants to add something. Gostaria de adicionar alguma coisa nisso que eu estou falando, que são os maiores desafios que a gente tem aqui para os projetos sociais?
No. Tá ok, Lauro. Obrigado.
Okay,
You're very good. You're very good, Lauro. You're very good.
I'm just trying to translate. He's saying that there's nothing to add on this, but I would like to add something important from the last topic. Is this is all possible because we have the federation that can support it, like financially. And I know that sometimes it's not the reality around the world, And over here, as we're friends, as we've been working together, as soon as I got into the federation, I look for Sandro and share some ideas on use this resource, not only to develop skateboard as a sport, but as a social thing, So we're like doing step by step. At this time, is it possible to hire a coordinator? We have Sibeli over here. She's working with us like the coordinator of her project. And our main goal right now for the next step is to keep sharing the knowledge through online or even on personal meetings, if possible. And at least to support half of this project with resources like skateboards, helmets, pads, and etc. So that's it. That's our reality over here.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually really cool that the Brazilian Skate Federation has made a point of supporting the grassroots social skate sector. I think this would be like a really interesting model to see happening in more countries, because that by doing that, maybe then, we can have more diversity and representation in skating at the grassroots level, and that can come up to the professional and even the, competing on the world stage level. So it's really cool to hear about. You kind of touched on it already, but I guess just the final question for you both is, what is your future vision for the social skate sector in Brazil? And maybe you're also thinking more broadly about Latin America. We haven't had many speakers from Latin America actually at the summit, so I'm really curious.
Okay. So, Sandro, se você quiser responder, qual é a sua visão para o futuro dos projetos sociais no Brasil e, de forma geral, na América Latina, como você enxerga?
Não, eu vou dar só uma frase, aí você pode complementar, Lauro. Bom, o que a gente espera, né? Eu falo da maneira que a gente consegue atuar hoje, depois de muitas lutas, né? Você conhece bem a Social Skate, você pode simplificar isso, né? de que a gente espera que esse caminho que nós estamos mostrando, as outras entidades, outros projetos tenham os recursos, né? Sejam eles privados ou públicos, né? Que é uma realidade que nós hoje utilizamos aqui. Então, da minha parte, a luta, o trabalho, né? A missão é fazer com que chegue para todos, né? Só vai estar bom para nós quando tiver bom para todos. Aí você complementa aí. Thanks, Lauro.
Okay, so he's basically saying that there's a challenge, but it's all about resources and trying to transfer these resources from, I mean, not only, how can I say, brand initiatives, but also from public resources to who really needs that, you know, because we can have access to this because we're based on Sao Paulo, we have like sponsors, but there's a lot of, to be honest, we just finished another survey, and there's 99 projects down here in Brazil that we just put on the map with a skateboard as a tool. So our main goal is to, you know, to make this resources reach these poor kids in the country. So that's the point. And in my personal opinion, I believe that this on the permanent growth, we're gonna have like a lot of projects. Today there's 100, and we're probably going to reach like, I don't know, maybe 200 in 1 or 2 years. And in my opinion, there's a lot of more opportunities coming, not only with projects like use skateboard as a social inclusion tool, but down here, you know, all of you know Raissa Leal. So I think there's opportunities also on sports with a performance sports orientation. Because down here it's very common for soccer and the other sports that with the poor kids, if they have access to a sport, to opportunity, there's I mean, many talents around the world. And I'm pretty sure that it's also an opportunity, not only use projects, it's like for inclusion, which is our main goal, but there's also a sports performance orientation opportunities. And that's another way to give them opportunities. I mean, to be honest, another challenge is to keep it cool. I mean, try to transfer why skateboard is the most powerful tool to make friends, and you know, that as we know, so that's another challenge. We need to keep it cool and to transfer this knowledge, man, for these kids. Why skateboard is so important? What makes a skateboard different from the other sports? So we need to use the skateboard as an inclusion tool, but to transfer to these kids why skateboard and not soccer, volleyball, or whatever. So that's it, because this way we're gonna transfer our feelings, and they're gonna spread it out with a skateboard to another, you know, individuals. So I don't know if I'm clear on this or not, but you know, we can share our opinions, ideas with whoever wants to stay in contact and in touch. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sandro and Lauro. It's super interesting, and I can't believe there's already 100 skate projects just in Brazil alone. That's amazing. And yeah, also your point about keeping it cool is a funny one. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, like, you have to be careful that social skateboarding also doesn't like ruin skateboarding, you know, like the stuff about like structure and rules, and there's like this finding this balance and stuff. So yeah, really interesting discussion. Thank you. Okay, so the final guest today is Charles-Antoine Bodsen, as I said, from the Skateroom. So Charles, welcome. My first question, so I know that you have like a background in skateboarding, and also obviously you're a social entrepreneur, and I'm wondering, yeah, I guess being a social entrepreneur, what do you see as the qualities that make certain social skate projects stand out and have a big impact? Because I know you've been following this work for quite a while now.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to the conference, and bravo to everyone. It's so inspiring to listen to everything you have shared. I would like just to make one correction. I have no really background in skateboarding. I have just been skateboarding a few hours in my life, but it's true that at a certain point I've met Oliver Perkovic, and in my reality it has changed my life, because he was looking for some funding and I have decided to jump into the opportunity, and to discover the result has clearly changed my life. And I became after that probably a social entrepreneur, trying to fight for the cause that I decided to stand alone on for many years. So related to the question, I guess from our experience now for helping for 8 years, there are different important things for projects to be sustainable, to be successful and everything. And I have to say that we've had the chance to work only with successful projects, because they are still now running the programs, etc. I would say that we would have to respond to an existing need in the country. We would have to answer to the projects should adapt on their own local context, and not go in every country with the same definition, with the same vision, etc. The projects with local involvement, and you were telling each one about the idea of engaging with the people on the ground, etc., and not to come only with white people engaging with the locals. So important to have the full-time paid staff in order to continue in a long time, and to include educational programs, as Skateistan has done from the early start. I would say that those are the key points from our experience for successful projects.
Cool, thanks for that. Yeah, so the Skateroom is, I guess, probably definitely the biggest and main funder of social skateboarding projects around the world, which is really amazing. So thanks for being there. I'm wondering if you've seen any big changes happening in philanthropy. For example, are you seeing a shift away from, a lot of companies would set up these traditional foundations to kind of put their money into social things, but are you seeing now more socially oriented companies like the B Corp stuff who see nonprofits as like key partners and collaborators?
Well, this is much more a question that I can relate to, because to be honest with you, since the early start, the projects that we were supporting, we haven't intervened with the projects. You know much better than ourselves the reality in Afghanistan for yourself, in other countries for the other ones. So we decided to trust your knowledge, and we didn't intervene. Now it's true that by putting a foot into the idea to be engaged through the definition I had and we had by the time, we became to be very sensibilized to the idea of what is this crazy consumption we are living in with. I changed completely my reality of acting with this consumption. And it's true that in the last years, things has clearly changed a lot. And I would say since COVID. Since COVID, many brands has finally decided to be truly engaged into positive change, social change, etc. And I think those brands are just listening to what is happening in the street globally. Everywhere in the world, people are just being fed up of this crazy world, fracturing two type of different societies, etc., and engaging to want to have more sense, more equality, more engagement for themselves to be engaged into those change. We have had the chance to be one of the first B Corp in Europe, because just discovering the movement of those companies, a B Corp being a company who consider people and planet before considering the profit, in resume, should I say, It was very similar as the basics and the values we've had since the early beginning, so we became a B Corp. I'm so thrilled to see that the B Corp community is growing insanely for the last few years, specifically in the last month, and it's really encouraging to see this. Of course, those companies who hit a reality on the ground of people who want truly to become engaged actors might be the successful mix of a company and a consumer around what the company is proposing. Relating this to the philanthropy, let's say what happens next. I'm thrilled to see all those companies willing to be supportive for all of your projects, listening to what is happening in Brazil and to see that 100 projects exist yet. Let's come with 500 around the world, and I'm sure that with the support and the will of those other brands, of course it can be done. And as I say very often, the Skateroom, the reality is we are here to support the social projects. One day would connect with us and propose a project. You do know better than us the reality on the ground, and our definition is to say you shouldn't spend too much time by looking for some funding, because your true role is on the ground. And voilà, very encouraging to see all those brands willing to be active to support all your projects.
Cool. Thanks, Charles. Yeah, I guess my last question is, what is your future vision for the Skateroom? So yeah, what do you hope in terms of supporting the social skateboarding community worldwide?
Well, if you're asking related to the exercise of the Skateroom, let's take the exercise of the Skateroom and explain it very simply. We are producing art skateboard decks with usually major artists, art foundations, etc., selling those limited editions in different museums, in different retailers, and engaging up to 30% of the product of the sales to be given to social projects, to NGOs. We have a great future in development because we have decided to change a few things in the company. Considering our exercise in the B Corp community, we want to improve our exercise as well. CO2 emissions are a real problem for the environment in the world. So we decided not to work with China anymore on that. We have integrated internally the process of producing those decks. We will continue to work with FSC Forest for the blank decks. And as a result of our thoughts in the last years, I became to say it's time to engage our consumption to have an impact on the one who don't have the chance to consume. And I might be rude by saying this, but let's take it to the basics. It's what we've done. We are discussing with many people, many brands who would like to have their own product with the artists we are working with. And why not us to invite them once they have accepted first to build a product that is environmentally engaged or consider the environment, and deciding to engage at least 20% of their sales to fund your different projects. As I was saying, many brands are interested by the idea to be more engaged. So we will come in the next future, very near future, with some great collabs that will improve and scale the support, the financial support we can propose to all of you guys, and I'm really excited about that.
Great. Thanks so much also, obviously for being on this panel, but also for helping to influence things in the right direction with other brands. And that'll make a big difference, I think. So
it's our pleasure and the pleasure of our artists who are truly so inspired with what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Charles. Awesome. So we have 20 minutes now. If people have questions for any of the panelists, either specific panelists, or we can just put them to people and see who wants to answer, then you can either raise your hand or you can put it in the chat. I'm not sure, I wasn't checking, so I'm not sure if they're there right now. Any questions? But I have one question, which maybe anyone from the panel could choose to answer. And I'm wondering, I I guess more broadly, how much influence do you think that social skateboarding initiatives are having on the positive changes that we're seeing in the wider skate community? Marie, do you want to jump in? I saw you.
I think it's really helpful to just like, because it's putting, let's say, the underdog of the skateboarding community under the spotlight. And it's really helpful because it got us to know a lot of projects that are not based in Western country. And I think that goes with kind of like decolonizing skateboarding as well, and not only have the same people doing the same great things all the time, but also see that local communities in global South countries have a lot of agency to actually start their own project. And as Charles-Antoine Bodson said, it is more a matter of funding rather than a matter of skills. So I think it's like, yeah, in that sense, it's really good. And I think with all these projects existing, social skateboarding projects that are white-led have to try and go towards a more local-led kind of framework and management. That's it.
Cool, thank you. Great to hear that. And I see now that there was actually some questions. Lisa, do you have your hand up? So you're on mute. I don't know if you want to speak.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, I wanted to answer the questions, like was how it's like would be benefic for like the wider like community, wider life to like use skateboarding social project. I think like for me, like skateboarding is like I'm in love with skateboarding because I'm in love with not only skateboarding but with the culture, with the values of skateboarding. Like for example, I in school or like in other sports, like I didn't like competition. I didn't like having to make someone lose to win, for example. I didn't like the fact that you have to conform to some stuff. I feel like skateboarding is really important, like the solidarity aspect of it. Like it's what makes it a better place, and that's why I believe in skateboarding for, like just like the wider community as a whole. It's just like I think like people tend more to work with each other, not against each other, and like help each other. And it's just like all the values that comes around with it. I think like skateboarding is much more than just skateboarding. It's like, and that's why we do all the what we're doing, all the social work, because we believe in it and not just like for the simple act of like writing a piece of wood. So yeah, I think it's like it can be also like very like political in a way. Like it's like kind of an act of a resistance in society, like in the consumerism society that we live in. It's like it's also because it's like something that is kind of like pointless, like doesn't require you to pay. Like you can just like redefine like spaces, architecture, and just like you can like be creative, and you can you're not dictate what you're gonna do. And it's super important like to have that freedom as an individual, but also like to be aware of each other and like be supportive of each other at the same time.
Yeah, really nice words. And I recommend people check out for the Forever Playground publications that Lisa's done if you want to hear some more nice things about skateboarding. Does anyone else want to talk about that? Like if you believe that social skateboarding is having an influence in the wider skateboarding community, or anyone else from the panel? Otherwise I can move to, there's some questions there. So there was a couple questions when Lisa was speaking about I think it was specifically about the planting seeds stuff. So I think Max asked, there's two parts here. So did anyone land a job afterwards doing this apprenticeship? And secondly, do you have plans to share the build manual?
The way I've planned to share the build manual, is that the question?
yes, two questions. Do you plan to share the build manual, and did anyone land a job after doing the apprenticeship?
Like for the build manual, yes, we intend to share it. That's the whole goal, but not yet. Like it's the first time we wrote it, and like we kind of experimented in Peru as a test, and like giving them to the apprentices so we can have feedback on it. But also like for us, taking notes every day on like what did we plan that didn't work so well, or that stuff that we should add. And so it's like an ongoing work that we want to pursue before like making it out public. But yeah, that's the ultimate goal for sure, is that to have like a formula that like kind of works and that we can like spread, and so that is like make other people works more efficient for sure. I can wait. So yeah. And sorry, the other question.
Did anyone get a job after doing the apprenticeship program, like in a related area, maybe?
Like for example, like in Peru, like we had someone, Jackson, that was really into it. Like he worked other construction job before, but he was really into like this apprenticeship and really looking forward this build. Like he was designing before with Ari Gerard, and like he was part of the program since way before we even come to build. And at the build, like he really shine. And so like now like for us, like we want to take him to other builds, like first for sure maybe social project, but yes, like there is also like we had like appointments with governments there that they saw our work and maybe want to make other parks, more parks in the future in the area. And he was at the meeting, and like for sure, like it's like, yeah, if it does happen, it's gonna be him. Like he's gonna be there, and that will, like, yeah, it's like just it's gonna, yeah, it's like the first steps, but yeah, more is gonna come, I hope. And even if it's not skate park, yes, like could be anything. Like,
Yeah, I guess those kind of skills that they learn can be applied in lots of different ways. Yeah,
definitely.
Cool. We have a question here. Apologies if I'm missing questions from people, but I just saw this one. So this could be for anyone to answer from the panel. So how do we make sure skateboarding is for everybody, well, at the same time making sure that opportunists are kept at bay? I don't know if anyone wants to answer that one. Maybe, I don't know, Edward, if you want to maybe speak, you could maybe give a bit more context on maybe concerns that you have.
What was the question? Sorry.
How do we make sure skateboarding is for everybody while at the same time making sure that opportunists are kept at bay? So I guess this is people trying to just use, I don't know, maybe use skateboarding or social skateboarding for their own benefit.
Yeah, it's what you were saying with like, and Lauro was talking about it also, like keeping skateboarding cool, and like well, like social skateboarding is not gonna ruin skateboarding. So if I guess it's that kind of, is this what you want to talk about?
Yeah, the Edward, I guess people who would leave.
Marie wants to talk.
Okay. Yeah, Marie, jump in.
Yes, I just think social skateboarding projects are just, yeah, the only way to get everyone to skateboard, because skateboarding community is extremely, extremely gatekept. So even with social skateboarding project, I can see that with our project, for example, we've been trying to raise funds for, I don't know, 4 months. And when I compare it to funds that are started by, let's say, OG skaters or just the stereotypical skaters, this is gonna go like so, like they tend to raise so much more money in such a little time because people see them as like real skateboarders. So I think it's just important for social skateboarding project to like keep going and make sure that the demographic of people who are beneficiaries from the programs is diverse, but also that I guess it's been said so many times during this summit in general, but to just make sure that the management teams are diverse as well. And finally, also to make sure that you attract, when people are like giving funds or having like, like grants program, that they are attracting enough people from diverse communities. And if they don't see that there are enough people from diverse communities, just go and fetch them people straight away. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to be the most privileged people who are able to just attend to this kind of program. So it's just about like, what kind of audience are you targeting? And also, instead of always waiting maybe for people to apply, just, going to like fetch talents, because I think we can all see like talents every day on social media. But even when I did the role model program, it was still kind of uncomfortable and weird, because even though we were talking about a lot of social issues, because I was like part of the 2 people of color and the only Black person, I think the theme of racism, for example, was not something that was acknowledged, when I think it would have been very, very important for a lot of role model to benefit from the knowledge about how to make their projects more inclusive, and not only for girls, but also make it inclusive for people of color. And always keep in mind that for people of color, race is always a factor, but for white people, race is not always a factor. So for white people to keep in mind that, okay, race is always going to be a factor. How can we try and, it can be seen as tokenism sometimes, but I think it's just really trying to find the talent and trying to like meet the quota. And unfortunately, it's only by meeting the quota that we are going to be able to go forward. That's it.
Thanks so much, Marie. Yeah, really, really good points. And I think that this is something that we need to really push for. And with I'll talk to you to get your feedback on the role models project and how we can do that better, for sure. We have a question, a hand up from Thais. I don't know if that's how you say your name.
Yeah, that's it. Thais. Nice meeting you all. My name is Thais. I'm skateboarder and journalist from Brazil. And I'm writing a book about skater girls around the world. So I've been working on that in the past times. And right now I'm in Costa Rica, and soon I'll be heading to Guatemala to take photos and interview the skater girls from different countries. And what I can find in here is that like we have such a different opportunity in life, just in the skateboarding community. And there are some girls that they are trying to be like skaters, just like athletes, and also get sponsors. And I really want to make a difference while I'm going to those places. So I would like to know if anybody has any kind of advice that could give me to just make a difference in the countries I'm going to, and to skate with the girls. And also, what are the social differences I can make in the places I go? So it will be really helpful. I'm really planning to go to over 100 countries. And so it's a really big challenge, and I really want to skate with all of you guys. So I'll definitely get the contact of most of you. And it's been such an amazing journey. I'm here in Costa Rica right now, as I told you. And I could have the opportunity about skating with the girls because I broke my leg skating before going to exposure on the skate contest. So I had the opportunity about just making friends, and that is really cool how skateboarding just makes me get a lot of new connections and learn about other different cultures, learn about other different perspectives. And it's just really cool. So yeah, I'm definitely going to Bangladesh. Thank you very much for inviting me. And yeah, this is what's happening to me, but I really want to use the opportunity about traveling. As I'm traveling by myself, I'm doing this as a solo backpacker journalist with my camera and my skate. So I really want to get advices about how changes can I do in the places as I go, and how can I get a lot of exposure to those skater girls, and how can I make the difference in their lives as I'm going there. Thank you very much.
Marie, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, me again. But I just wanted to say that I think a lot of people want to make a difference. And I think a lot of people cannot make a difference when it's not their culture. And a lot of people are of collectives are not looking necessarily for exposure, but they're looking for financial support, because I believe they already have that project going. And most of the time when you're going to have a social skateboarding project, people are going to be interested to come and take pictures, to do interviews and things like this. But it's very important to be able to put something on the table for the people that you're like not using for your book, but kind of like using for your book at the same time. And most of the time it's going to be by financially backing them up, or trying to find opportunities for them, or trying to find them like contact and things like this. Because exposure is only going like a certain way, you know, it's social media. So there's new exposure every day, and some exposure can just go past under your nose. Whereas if you're helping them fundraise for a project that they want to create and build since a long time, that is going to be long-term impact, and that might be really helping them more than exposure.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your answer. I definitely believe that financial help definitely helps a lot, but I feel like it's a situation that we all deal with that, because also I'm dealing with that financial difficulty to do with the book situation. Even still like traveling on my own and not having a lot of calls, because I used to stay at the skater girls' houses. So they help me a lot, and it's really fun because I can connect with them. But that's still a challenge. But if anybody has a contact that could just talk to me about it, and would be a really nice connection. That was a really good situation, because when I was in Costa Rica in 2018 for the very first time, I organized a skate contest with the girls from here, and we got sponsors from the US. And that was just like the most amazing things that they were like living, because it was really hard to get projects from the US or to get any kind of goodies or facilities from other countries. So it's really good. And thank you very much, everybody who is writing me about places that are skater girls. I've been looking for like a lot of skateboarding girls community, and I found more than 100, so it's a lot. But thank you very much for the advice, Mari, and definitely hope to see you someday around the globe.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Marie, for the answer, and Thais for the question. And I don't know what your travel schedule looks like, Thais, but I definitely say that a big need in a lot of places is, like you kind of just said, getting equipment in. So maybe even just connecting equipment donations, carrying them into places is like so helpful, because like shipping and customs fees are so hectic around the world. So that could be a really big help maybe for some people. So we maybe have time for just one question from somebody else, because we only have a couple minutes left. And I saw maybe Max, I saw you in the chat being pretty active, talking about ideas of cooperative business models in social skate projects. Do you want to say something about that, or ask something?
Me?
No, Max. Sorry, Max. I think.
Yeah, I mean, anyone's seen it implemented or working in any of these projects.
And what is it? Can you explain a little bit what you mean?
Yeah, so from what I'm understanding about cooperative business models is that they're like a lot of times worker-owned cooperatives, meaning that the people who work in the organizations actually have ownership and get to decide and vote on the direction of these businesses, and get dividends or whatever. I don't know how finances work for all these businesses, but I'm just curious if like people have explored other models besides like the nonprofit as well. And I mean, and for-profit businesses. I know the B Corp was the first time I heard some of those things mentioned in that sense, but maybe there are others that I don't know about.
I think Lisa, you had your hand up.
Yeah, because he's talking about the cooperative model. Like, for example, that's Untitled Skateparks, which I work for sometimes, is like is a company that is a cooperative, but it's still a business model. So like if what he said, it's exactly what he said. Like everybody owns like a bit of the company, and like yeah, so it's like more like the hierarchy is more like horizontal. But like for social project, like I don't know, like if that can be a thing, or like I haven't seen any so far social project that are not like a non-profit typical model. But if someone's here about something or knows something, yeah. I want to know too.
Yeah, if anyone has anything, then please share. I'm trying to think that it's too bad Sandy's not here from Surf Ghana, because I know that they have like a collective model, and I know that they also, so a lot of their like members are like creatives, so like graphic designers and artists and video makers and stuff, and so they like use this as a platform to kind of bring like funds and money in, I believe, to some of their members, and then they can use some of that funding to do social stuff. So it's not exactly the same thing as what you're talking about, but yeah, interesting. Maybe if anyone knows, please share in the chat. Okay, great. So we're at the end here, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone, obviously our panelists, but also everyone who's attended. Yeah, it's really exciting to hear what people are doing already and what they hope to do in the future. So we hope it was interesting for you, and yeah, well, I look forward to seeing what happens in the next year or 2 years or 3 years of social skateboarding. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.